Hey guys, it's Bob Ferngren, and I'm back with another 8-minute call. Gosh, I heard this a long time ago. 80% of folks don't even know what they want. 16% have goals. 3% have them written down. Only 1% have them written down and review them regularly. Well, I guess it's almost 11 years ago now. I had been divorced for a number of years. I had dated around. Dating's nice. I like gals. But, you kind of feel like, not settling down to get married, but settling down to just have someone you can count on, you believe in, they believe in you, similar likes and dislikes, values, those, just to have that buddy, that pal, that friend. So like I do every year, every 6 months, I write out my goals. And I'm very, very specific. I learned that, learned this a long time ago. You can say, I want more money. Well, the second someone hands you $1, you've just achieved a goal. You got more money. So you have to be pretty specific about what you want, and you have to know why you want it. Just have $10,000 in the bank. What will that do? And so you have to align your goals with what you're going to do with them and why you're doing it and all that. But to get back to my story, so I'm redoing my goals, and I decide to be very, very, very specific about what I want in, a girlfriend at that time, what I wanted to be a long-term girlfriend, and who knew where it would go from there. So I literally write out every attribute, and I wrote out the physical attributes. This is my life. This is my goal. So I wanted blonde hair. I wanted someone that was fit. I wanted someone that was healthy. I wanted someone who believed in Christ. I wanted someone who was positive. I wanted someone who was business oriented. I wanted someone who was going to be fun. And I wanted someone who liked to do the things I like to do. And there was a whole lot more on the list. It was a big list. And because it's my life, and I need to know exactly what I want in order to get it. Why settle for something you don't want? And so I write it out, and as I do every day, I not only wrote out my goals, but I also spoke about them. Now, I wouldn't write all the specific details, but I had the specific details on a piece of paper. So if I needed to remember exactly what I wanted in a specific area, whether it was finances or health, or in this case, female companionship, if I wanted to remember something specific, then I had them there. But I would just write out, hey, I want to have a girlfriend. This year is my goal. But I knew all the specifics about that. So I go about my life. And one day, I'm in this big leadership position in this company I was in. And so I'm at an event, and typically, we have like a leaders only event before the actual big event. And so I've got 2 big groups there. We're going to dinner at a Mexican restaurant in Connecticut, and I don't want to sit at one end of the table or the other because I don't want to offend anybody. I want everyone to feel like they can talk to me and I'm available and all that kind of stuff. So I got to sit in the middle of the table. And if any of you know me, you've seen me do that a few hundred times. And so I see these 2 ladies. I kind of quickly in my mind, while I'm talking to other people, notice this one is, what apparently is her husband, and this other one is sitting next to another gal. So when it comes time to sit, I just go out. They're sitting next to each other. Obviously, they knew each other. They were talking. I said, hey, ladies, is it okay if you guys over here move down one and I sit here between you guys? And I wasn't intentionally going for the single lady. I was just trying to be in the middle of the room. But what the heck, there was a pretty single lady there. So, eventually I get my seat and I'm sitting next to this woman on my left. And so I'm kind of just noticing. She's good looking. She's dressed really well. She smells good. She's very polite and well-mannered. So I start asking some questions. And then I get a little bit flirty, and she's flirting back. So I'm asking questions like, so are you married? Do you have kids? She's saying, no, no. I think I asked that question 3 times, which started making her giggle. I asked other questions that she was responding to, but basically, this chick was hitting the tennis ball back. So, long story short, get to know her just a little bit more sitting next to her, get to know some more specifics. And the more I got to know her over the next few days, because, we had a chance to meet up again, she's starting to click every one of these boxes that I had written out. And here's one of the most unusual boxes: proof that you have to know exactly what you want in order to get it. She had blonde hair, which is pretty cool, right? But in her entire lifetime, she had only had brown hair. It was that afternoon. She went to her cousin. She needed to get her hair done anyways. She has no idea about my goals. She doesn't even, she knows who I am, but she doesn't really know me. And she gets her hair colored blonde. Now, what do you think the chances of that just happening are? Random, coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences at all. And so every box ended up getting ticked. So obviously, those are green lights to pursue it. Eventually, we build a relationship, and now here it is 10 years later, plus or minus, and we got 2 kids. So what I'm telling you guys is this works in every aspect of your life. This home that I'm in, I had looked at lakefront property and homes, and I wanted to stay in my area forever, but I didn't get real specific. All I just said is a lakefront home, these different qualities. I'm a single guy, so I don't have to have all these bells and whistles. And so eventually we couldn't find anything. And it wasn't when the market was at its hottest by far. The market wasn't down, it wasn't up, but Florida's always good real estate. So my real estate lady decides to send a postcard to every single home, within 3 miles that are on lakes. And she gets a response: I don't want to sell the house, but I'll be happy to lease it, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is after looking at like 15 or 20 houses. And, it's not far from where I lived at the time. Matter of fact, this is only a mile from where I lived. And I didn't even know this lake existed. It has 2 names, Lake Wanata and Lost Lake. Now, what's interesting is about 2 blocks over there is a very busy highway. And there's a real, big parts of the city over there. And I lived over there. And there's like 4 or 5 lakes in this area that I had been praying over and believing for. But I started getting very specific just before this appeared. Like, okay, it's got to have this. It's got to have that. It's got to have this. It's got to have that. And boom, this house appears. Guy doesn't want to sell it. Matter of fact, he never shut up the whole time. He never really let us look at it. And I didn't really listen to it. So interesting enough, I absolutely believe this is my house, right? When I'm starting to look around and go around, I'm not saying anything. I go, this is my house. And he's got some price on it, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, of course I'm negotiating, but I'm thinking a different price. So some things come up during the course of the, negotiation and close. Ends up dropping by $50,000. This was my house. But you see, I had seen this house before I ever saw this house. I knew exactly what I wanted. Guys, you have a brain, you have time, you have energy. Write out your goals. Be very, very specific. Read them every day. Review them. Believe in them. It's your life. You got one shot at it. God bless.